It's okay. Hey everyone, this is Rob Anderson from Written Sins. This is the first episode of Spoken Sins. We're with the T.i.T.S creators. Go ahead, guys, introduce yourselves.
What's up? I'm Colton, co-creator, co-writer, and co-letterer.
I'm Casey. I'm his brother. I do all the same stuff, but better.
And I'm David Gunawan. I'm the penciler for T.i.T.S.
All right, guys, you guys are on Kickstarter right now, and you're just doing a phenomenal job. You've already doubled your ask of 2,000, and you're up to 5,000 already. How's that feel to be successful in issue 4 without really having to worry as much as you did with issue 1? Is that
it's definitely a bit of a relief because it was quite a struggle to get issue 1 funded, and we didn't feel quite as anxious and more comfortable going into this one, especially after the issue 2 and 3 Kickstarter did fairly well.
Yeah, I think having doing issue 2 and 3 together, and then having 4 within the 4 to 5 month time frame really kind of like shows people that you're here to stay and that you're going to be continuing a book, whereas a lot of issue 1s are out there and people are kind of finicky if they're going to back it or not. So
David, how's the experience been with you working on T.i.T.S?
Oh, so far it's very fun. I have 2 of the greatest boss, I think.
Now, one of the things we wanted to talk about today, because we've talked about everything, you guys have been all over the media, you've been talking about a lot of things, but we wanted to actually talk a little bit about how it is to actually create. So Casey, you guys came up with this. Colton, you came up with this. You wrote a script. What kind of script did you write when you first went to the artist? What kind of format did you use? Was it a straight script, or did you do panel box notes and actually tell him exactly what he wanted, what you wanted?
Yeah, we just did the regular script format. We just got the basic format from the Dark Horse website, and from there we might have looked at a couple other scripts, but for the most part we just dug into it. And whenever we first hired David on, I actually started to do kind of layouts with cameras and action figures, and then I realized quick on that was pretty stupid, and whatever I come up with is not going to be nearly as good as what David can do. So everything that David has done, the first page on the first issue, he just nailed all that stuff with the T.i.T.S Orbitics, which is the planetary kind of headquarters for the T.i.T.S Corporation. He just nailed them from the get-go, so that was a good thing for us, so I didn't have to do my stupid action figure layouts with cameras and stuff.
David, when you first got the script, what did you think about it? The first time you read it, what did you think?
About the story or sorry?
Story, how did you see it come to life in your head as you were reading it? How did that process go? Did you guys have to talk a lot to figure out how the orbiter would look, or did their script instantly bring it to you?
Oh yeah, they both give me a very detailed script, so I can basically just imagine how it's gonna be. The script they wrote so phenomenally detailed. It has everything I need to work on, like the floating island and the aura and stuff. Then they got it all. So I just have to follow the script.
We would also send him a lot of reference pictures too.
Yeah, and reference. True.
I think that's very important when you guys are discussing. How did you guys actually discuss most things? This is one thing I noticed that a lot of people talk about. Did you guys actually communicate via messenger? Was it mostly emails? Do you guys actually talk on the phone? I know everyone likes it a little different. Every partnership is different. How did your partnership work out? Was it face-to-face? Was it emails? How did you?
It's been email for the most part up until recently. This is just the 3rd time that we've done a FaceTime with David. I mean, so yeah.
I'm a caveman.
Yeah, we're all cavemen really. So yeah, we started doing more of Skype FaceTimes and stuff recently, but that's not even a lot to do with the comic. It's mostly just hanging out and being, pals with David, and we'll just bullshit for the first hour and a half or whatever, and then the last 30 minutes we'll talk about tits. But it's mostly just bouncing ideas around and getting excited about new pages he sends us and stuff like that. But as far as like direction and production goes, it's here's the script, man, and he nails it 95 to 98% of the time with very little, if any, revisions. And so it's always great. We'll just send him reference pictures via email every once in a while, but we hadn't even really done that much lately. So just doing that and talking through email about, updates and stuff. But whenever we get on FaceTime and stuff like this, we just kick it.
So now let me ask you a question. When it comes down to character creation, how did you guys handle that? Did you have exactly you and Casey and Colton, did you guys have the characters exactly how you wanted it, or did you give Dave the idea of what you wanted and see what he could come up with? Like, how involved were you with the character design?
Well, with Blotter, like I pretty much put on the exact same clothes he has, except for like some of the colors with like the shirt or whatever. So I had like the headphones hanging off my neck, and I had corduroys on, and my hair was a little bit longer then, and in the vest I had like an old vest that my dad had. So a character like that, it was exact, and then we had a cat. A friend of ours had a cat that kind of was like Skit Scats, and it didn't have a tail. So David changed that up with like the color. Instead of it being white, it's more like this grayish kind of purple. And with Starla, we gave him a general idea, but he just kind of did his own thing with that. Like all the little utilities you see, her gun and the radio and all these little things like are things that just David added in. And he's a big guy into guns and motorcycles and stuff like that. And there's a lot of guns, and she rides a motorcycle. So we're like, hey man, whatever you want to do with guns and motorcycles, if that's something you're passionate about, you decide. So he got to do all he wanted with that.
Now, David, I noticed one of the things that you did really well was the background scenery. There's an actual part in issue 1 where there's a wall where the blue boss is reading something off the wall, and it actually looks like it's lettered. Did you draw that? Was that you drawing lettering in place?
No. It's actually a very stupid trick. I just type whatever, like scrambling around the keyboard, and then copy it and flip it.
Well,
that's it.
Hey, it worked.
We didn't even know.
Whatever gets the
It's
book.
just regular letters. I just copy it and flip the other one.
There you go. Now, one of the most interesting thing about this, guys, is the names. How did you guys come up with these names? There's some of the most unique names I've seen in a comic book. What was that process like?
Well, we both kind of came up with the general idea of the characters. I kind of came up with the idea of the first 3 characters, then we developed them together. But as far as naming the characters in T.I.T.S goes, like Casey just came up with all of them. Like it's kind of weird because I usually come up with the names of things, but for T.I.T.S, like there's probably not one character that I've actually named. Like he's named all of them, so I'll let him answer that question.
As far as like developing the story concept and starting to figure out who these characters are, you just discover their personality, and then the name just kind of pops in my head, and I'm like, hey, that'll work.
Well, like with the name Lascivious, which is the first antagonist in this story arc, that's just an anagram for the name Vicious One. So it's just, rearranging of the letters to make up the name Lascivious.
Yeah, and Blotter, that's a reference to blotter acid, and Skit Scats, it just seemed like something that kind of had like a syncopated rhythm to it, and like we live in the South, and there's a lot of people that use methamphetamines here, and sort of a colloquial phrase for that is skitzing. So I just kind of shortened that, and that's where that came from.
Well, that's cool. From what you've heard from all your fans, who's the character favorite right now? Like, which character is the one that's the runaway hit, and was it something you expected?
I think Starla is overall a character favorite with most people. And I mean, people just like beautiful women, so it's not that big of a surprise. Yeah.
That does make sense. David, when you were making Starla, what did you have like intentions of with the character? Like, how do you draw her deliberately to be like, I guess the question would be her posing and her positioning. How do you reference that? Like, how did you come up with the idea of how she would walk? Because the guys can give you the idea of what she looks like, but how did you decide how she would carry herself and her movements? Did you watch any certain shows? Did you base it on any characters you've seen in movies? Like that personality that you draw. She has a lot of personality in how she moves her body. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, I look at some martial art reference because Starla is martial artist. And then as for the clothing, Casey and Colton gave me very specific instruction. Like she wears a red jacket and like tight leather pants and something like that. Yeah, pretty much like that, I think.
Now, when it came to character design, I know that you guys had a lot of feedback. You guys talked a lot. But I know that this also happens. You write issue 1, you get issue 1 done, and suddenly you're like, wait, I can do better. And you want to tweak something about that character. Did you guys find a position like that? Because I know one of the characters winds up getting the upgrade. Was anything changed from issue 1 to issue 2, or did you guys wind up following the plan the whole way through so far?
As far as like, yeah, we do the lettering too. So like, we'll kind of improvise a little bit more. Like once we get the pages back from David, so like we'll kind of spice up the dialogue a little bit. But as far as like the actual where the story's going, like we wrote the first 10 issues before we even like started looking for an artist. So like all of that's kind of set in stone, and we do revise each issue as we're finished with another one. So as we're seeing, like the first story arc is probably going to end up being 11 issues long now. But yeah, as far as like the direction it's going, it's kind of set in stone.
Most of our revision was like we gave David the script and he did the character designs, and then he started on issue 1, and that like really inspired us to go back and review, you know, the subsequent issues. And I think we were even doing revisions on issue 1 script as he was doing it, to be like, oh, we could make this better, you know what I mean? And then like we just kind of carried on that way, so that we could give him something that was as interesting as possible to draw, you know what I mean?
Now, David, how would you say that you've been responded to? Like, have your friends read it? Is it something that people know you're doing? Like, how's the response been from you as the artist in it? Have you found that you got more followers because of working on T.i.T.S? You know, what has the general feedback been?
Actually, not really. This type of comic is not very popular in my country. So just a couple of my close friends who supported me, who read the comics, but it doesn't sell in here. Too bad.
Casey and Colton, for you guys, I know it's been a big night and day difference from issue 1 now to where we are at issue 4. How has the support been? Have you noticed things changing as you guys actually develop the story and you've gotten this big following starting you now on Kickstarter? It seems like when you have a Kickstarter started, you're almost already funded. How has that been? Do you get more and more fans every day? Are you noticing spikes? Are you noticing people coming to you and talking about it to you? And what do you hear the most about? Like, what's the #1 compliment you guys hear?
We have a couple of people that back the Kickstarter that are really into it, and they message us and tell us about it. You know, it's just kind of out there. It's another comic on Kickstarter. You know, I don't feel like we're super successful or anything. You know, it's just one of those things you got to keep grinding at. But as far as compliments go, we've had a couple people do unboxings, like the Unboxing Brothers. This guy in Germany does them, and they just talk about how bizarre and kind of weird and different T.i.T.S is, and that's in essence what we want the title to be remembered as, is something different, because Blotter and Skit-Scats are zany characters. Icivus is a very different kind of android, as you see from issue 3 and some more in issue 4, and Starla is just this badass chick who's very independent and strong, but she gets a lot of shit from her coworkers, you know. So we just are trying to have the characters stand out and be very character driven as we slowly unfold the plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, almost all of the feedback we get, you know, is about how good David's artwork is. Nobody's yet been like, oh, that's just okay. You know, if somebody says something about it, you know, as far as feedback goes, it's definitely very positive. So that's a good thing.
Well, now I know a lot of people and a lot of writers and a lot of artists say, I can't find someone to work with. So how did you navigate that road? How did you guys come together? Like, how did you meet? How did you get the ball rolling, as it was?
We put up an ad on DeviantArt, and David was one of the people that responded to it. So we had him do some character designs, and
it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
Now, with the type of art that this is, David, when you approach...
Sorry?
What's that, David?
No, the line is breaking up.
Oh,
can you really hear?
Can you hear now, David?
Can you? Yeah, it's now clear.
Okay. I was saying, David, when it came to doing those first couple designs, why did you pick the style that you did with it? Was there a particular reason, or is that just this is your favorite style of drawing? I mean, it's spectacular, but is this your normal way of drawing, or was this special just for the Colton and Casey story?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I said that they are two of the best bosses I got so far. They gave me a lot of liberty in the artwork, so I can pretty much do whatever I want. And yeah, this is basically just my style. So I have no particular style for it. Just my kind of artwork, I think.
Very cool. Now, Casey and Colton, we know that T.I.T.S is this great story, but are we going to be seeing other things from you? I know you've mentioned a couple times there are other stories that you're have in the pipeline. Is any of that coming to be anytime soon? Will we see anything, or is T.I.T.S the major focus for now and just everything T.I.T.S?
T.I.T.S is the major focus, but right now we've already been talking to David with another little mini series we're wanting to do. So he's working on issue 7 now, and there's going to be some more character designs for T.I.T.S that he's going to do after that. And while he's doing that, we're going to have him go ahead and do a couple more character designs for our other title that we have in mind. I'm not going to tell a lot about it right now, but it's going to be kind of like a diesel punk kind of thing going on. So he's already done the main character design for it, and it looks pretty badass, and we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so we might take a short break from T.I.T.S sometime later on this year, and the three of us try something different, you know, with that story.
But we're already ahead on T.I.T.S, so it's like, you know, issue 4 is coming out now, but we're on production on issue 7, and we're halfway through that just about. So yeah, by the time he's done with issue 8 or 9, you know, we'll be trying something a little bit different. Maybe we'll see.
Now that's an interesting point. You guys seem to be able to get these comic books not only drawn and put together, but you're actually delivering them faster than any other Kickstarter I have seen. And I've done a lot of Kickstarters, so that's credit to you. How do you guys manage that? Is this been did you guys sit down and make a 12-month plan on how you are going to get these out? Or is it just this urge to get everything done as quick as you can, and it's just motivation that gets you to be one of the fastest reward givers out there?
I mean, being one of the fastest is something we take pride in, because we've heard of a lot of people that, you know, it takes forever for them to get the Kickstarter rewards, and we don't want to be that people, you know, those people on Kickstarter that are having a lot of lag time in between issues. And for us, it's all about just trying to build up a fan base, you know, and we're way ahead on production before we even did a Kickstarter, you know, trying to submit to publishers and stuff. So, I mean, one of the things of having a good fast turnaround on Kickstarter is just already having the finished product. So it's like, as soon as the Kickstarter's over, David's already done the CYMK conversions, and we got a couple more things he needs to do. But after that, it's going to be ordering the comics, and just as soon as they get to our doorstep, we're already ready to start packaging stuff up and send them out within that week.
Now, in the upcoming months, is there going to be any Comic Cons that you guys are going to be going to? Is that on the radar right now, or is this going to be mostly through Kickstarter and word of mouth?
Yeah, it's just going to be Kickstarter and word of mouth right now. Like we did 5 cons last year, and it's an extra burden, I think, as far as expenses go at this point. And maybe once we have the full, first story arc completed, we'll start going back to cons. But it's just right now, it's not financially viable.
In our experience, it hasn't resulted in any backers on Kickstarter, so it just doesn't really make sense for us at this point.
That makes sense. All right, guys, we're about winding down. David, where can we find you on DeviantArt? Where can we find you on Facebook? Is there a particular site that anyone can come and like and follow you and follow all the things you have going on?
Cool. My DeviantArt page is G slash how do you say G dash G dash David .deviantart.com, and Facebook page is David Gunawan, Gunawan.
All right, David. The art is fantastic. You do a great job with the art. Colton,
thank you.
How can the viewers wind up reaching out to you and seeing, besides obviously being on our website and being on Kickstarter right now, how can they stay in touch with what you guys do on Twitter and Facebook?
I guess Facebook would be the best place to, if you want to follow us and stuff, and that's just facebook.com/Transmigrant Productions.
Now, we're going to let you guys do your elevator pitch to anyone who's never heard of this somehow, and this is a brand new thing for them. Just take a minute and walk us through, like, if you were consider you're in an elevator with an executive you want to sell this to. But before we do that, I have one question. Will there ever be a Skits plush doll for a future Kickstarter? Is that something you guys are thinking about? Because that seems to be a big trending thing now, everyone making plush. Is that something we could see?
We might consider doing that. We've actually been asked from like Larry or the Unboxing Brothers or somebody like that before. So yeah, we'll definitely look into that. We're doing the wall scroll for this one. We're wanting to do something different for issue 5, and I think we're going to do like a puzzle or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I haven't looked into it yet to see how much it costs, but yeah, that's definitely something to consider if it's a demand for it.
All right, guys, give us the elevator pitch. Tell us why people should be interested in T.i.T.S. Why is it such a great product?
T.i.T.S is a action-oriented sci-fi comedy series. It's going to be an ongoing series. There's going to be a lot of stuff in store. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to disappear anytime soon. It's basically about a drunken cab driver named Blotter and his irritable navigator cat, Skitscats. They get sent to Earth on a mission to pick up a transmigrant and take them somewhere else in the multiverse to their intended destination. But they are kind of prone to causing trouble, so they start causing mayhem in Seattle, and they get mixed up with the hard-nosed Seattle PD detective named Starla, and all kinds of hilarity ensues.
If you like zany characters with comedy and action, this is the comic for you. It's something different.
And why did you guys choose Seattle, out of curiosity?
We lived there for like 3 years, so it's just the city that we are infatuated with.
And the missing transmigrant, when are we going to see him? I haven't noticed that he showed up yet.
You'll get hints, along the way as to what's going on, the storyline wise. I mean, as of right now, just know that they're looking for a transmigrant and just watch these characters grow and see what they're all about.
All right, guys. I know I'm excited about issue 4. I got to read all 3 issues last night, so I'm now having an itch I need scratched. So get it out to me as soon as you can. Thank you for joining us. Everyone can follow David, Casey, and Colton. This is a project that I've personally read and supported the whole time. Get behind it. It's on Kickstarter now. You need to find it. Go to writtensins.com and just put it in the search area, T.i.T.S, T.i.T.S, and you'll find everything about T.i.T.S. Thank you for being on, guys.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
Appreciate it.